Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay. I just finished watching The Eminence in Shadow, and I immediately knew I wanted to make a video on the show. The Eminence in Shadow was absolutely amazing. Talk about turning the Isekai genre on its head. An incredible protagonist, a fantastic supporting cast, comedy, drama, lots and lots of blood, if anything too much blood, demons, cults, knights, swords, magic, lollies, beastkin, royalty.
Some time later.
Now that I've calmed down, I want to at least get this first paragraph done while the show is extremely fresh in my mind. If there is one thing I love about anime, it's the fact that the anime space always has a way to stay fresh even when using the same and increasingly aging isekai formula. Back in my Mushoku Tensei video, I said the isekai genre is the most versatile genre in all of anime because the isekai genre itself is just a foundation. That versatility allows an isekai to do anything and everything, from a comedy isekai like Konosuba or an action isekai like the Saga of Tanya the Evil. I still don't know exactly where Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation can be categorized. I also think ReZero is a horror-esque isekai, but I'm not trying to get into a debate right now. The Eminence in Shadow is this beautiful blend of drama, action, comedy that makes me just say,
delicious.
I'm completely blown away by what I just watched. The balls of this show to continually make fun of the usual isekai tropes we've all been accustomed to. The fantastic cast of characters led by series protagonist Sid Kageno, who is in the running for my favorite isekai protagonist of all time. Oh man, I feel kinda guilty just saying that. I'm sorry, Rudius. Anyway, sit down and let me show you why you will enjoy the unique and ridiculous but delicious meal that is The Eminence in Shadow. Spoilers ahead. In an anime world overran by isekais, where you can't go one season without a generic ass story where a loner gets transported to another world, he becomes overpowered, gains a harem, and fights a demon king, you guys know the formula by now. Like how One Punch Man was a remedy for the formulaic shonen archetype, The Eminence in Shadow carries out the same role but for the isekai genre. I first discovered this series during a random search for new manga. The amazing cast of characters, the fascinating world backed by intriguing lore, the soundtrack. Oh my god, the soundtrack. The show even nailed all the little things most anime just skip, but more on that later. The Eminence in Shadow is a light novel series written by Daisuke Aizawa and illustrated by Tozai. It began serialization in May 2018. The series received a manga adaptation in December of 2018, and the anime adaptation of the series just finished its first season in February of this year. I was blown away by its audacity to basically crap on its own genre. If there's one thing I can say about this series, which is weird because I already said the one thing earlier, you shouldn't ever be bored watching this anime. Well, at least I wasn't, but I'm a simple man. Ironically, I also learned of High Dive, the new anime platform to gain prominence in the wake of the Crunchyroll Funimation merger. There are some pretty good shows on there. You should check them out when you have a chance. This isn't a paid ad, by the way. I just want to give them some love. I want to ask you a question. What makes a good overpowered character? Is it their personality? Is it their crazy feats? Is it the people around them? Is it their villains? Maybe it's all of the above. The isekai genre is filled to the brim with OP protagonists that is quite frankly annoying. So how do you make a protagonist stand out? You could make him fun like Rimuru. You could make him the villain like Ainz. You could make him overrated like Kirito. Okay, that last one was unnecessary. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Kageno Minoru. He is one of the best characters I've come across in a long time. From a young age, like every going boy, Minoru was fascinated by all the shows that were perfectly catered for us. I'm talking about them shounens, baby. The shows that had you weirdos Naruto running in the hallway showing a complete lack of awareness and riz. Now imagine if those weirdos just kept Naruto running, like at their job, when they get married, when they have kids, during their midlife crisis, when they graduate, when they have grandchildren. Well, Minoru is that person. I don't know if the man himself did Naruto run, but the guy actually believed what he saw on TV. From the awe-inspiring attacks, the cringy conversations, the training montages. While everyone eventually grew up, he never stopped believing. He wanted to become this eminence in shadow, a person who wields enormous power and influence behind the curtain of society. In fact, he structured his whole life around this goal. He trained, he studied, and he learned. However, there's only so much a human can do. There is a limit to how strong we can become. And Minoru learned this firsthand after rescuing a classmate who was kidnapped using his vigilante persona of stylish bandit slayer. Don't worry about the girl though, she won't be important until at least season 3. After realizing that magic could be a solution to his problems, he once again pushed forward but was met with no success. After a particular CTE-inducing training session, Truck-kun introduced himself and Minoru was reincarnated as Sid Kageno of the noble Kageno family, renowned for its dark nights. After getting a hold of his bearings, and rather quickly I might add, Sid had a new lease on life and was now in the right environment to become the Eminence in Shadow. There may be no other isekai protagonist who was prepared to be isekai'd more than him. In fact, his life on Earth was only a hindrance, as he is finally able to pursue his goal to the absolute fullest. If you guys remember in my little Bakugo video announcement video, I mentioned that Sid was basically the Saitama of isekai. In fact, I felt extremely validated when Giga basically said the same thing in his video on this anime. While Saitama and Sid are very similar in terms of their overwhelming power and genre-defying tropes, so to speak, don't nobody do an actual comparison because I'm not here for that. However, these two are two different people. Saitama is a genuinely good person who sets out to change the course of his life and really overdid it. Plus, his recent fight with Tatsumaki in the manga was gas, but this isn't a One Punch Man video. Sid, on the other hand, how do I say this? He's an absolute psychopath. His entire life is just a role he plays, especially as he balances his multiple personas. But he really has just two main ones. His outward persona as Sid Kageno, an unremarkable student from a noble house in the country, and his secret persona as Shadow, the leader of a powerful organization fighting a shadow war unbeknownst to the general public. You see, Sid is let me make sure I pronounce this correctly, a Chinibyo? According to Wikipedia, a Chinibyo is a Japanese colloquial term typically used to describe early teens who have grandiose delusions, who desperately want to stand out, and who have convinced themselves that they have hidden knowledge or secret powers. It is sometimes called 8th grader syndrome here in the US. His commitment to his personas is impeccable, but he's not perfect. I love all the different moments where we see him getting caught off guard, or his show-off actions don't work out exactly like how he planned. But like every great showman, he just rolls with it. It's crazy that the entire plot is just some bullshit he came up with on the spot that actually turned out to be true, but he's the only one who doesn't realize it. Then ironically, it's his twisted delusions / common sense, I don't know which one it is, that keeps him from actually realizing what's going on despite the situations he finds himself in. Like Saitama, he was blessed with unimaginable power, and once again, like the Cape Baldy, he absolutely worked for it. He worked for his power across two different lives. I mean, you can't be the Eminence in Shadow without unimaginable power, right? If I'm being 100% honest, I find the times when Sid is Shadow as the least interesting part of the anime.
What?
Don't get me wrong, I still think Shadow is a good character, but I also think he's just a one-note character in my opinion. Just think about it. Shadow busts in somewhere, says some cryptic stuff, kicks ass, and leaves.
Okay, what's the problem?
Shadow is a mysterious powerhouse with cringy lines and useless platitudes mixed in. Once again, don't get me wrong, Shadow has definitely brought a new meaning to the sentence, I am atomic. The man is ruthlessly efficient, which is a result of the many years of training, plus his trash talk is top tier. Just look at what he did to Iris as he punked her during the entire season finale. When Sid is actually Sid, that's where I believe the anime truly shines. Whether it's his verbal sparring matches with Princess Alexia, his interactions with his friends Skell and Poe, who are just the perfect comic relief, or better yet, his interactions with the Seven Shadows. Daisuke Aizawa constantly found new ways to humanize Sid, which the anime brilliantly showcases. We know Sid has spent a ridiculous amount of time honing his background character abilities down to a T.
まさにパーフェクトなモブだ。
Yet he still can't be ready for the unexpected. These unexpected moments only made us as viewers love him even more.
なんでラブコメ主人公ルートに入ってんだよ!
I truly wonder how long he can actually keep his charade up, especially since we already know how far he's willing to go to stay a background character, especially as the stakes rise. Maybe this is just a dumb thing to ponder since we've literally seen him risk death to act out the perfect background character death. Hell, his riz is so strong that he has a harem that he couldn't even give two shits about. I'm not saying he doesn't care for these girls, but romance will never be in the cards for him. At least it just doesn't seem like it, right? Enough about the man. Let's talk about the rest of the cast. Starting with the Seven Shadows, who are the first to join Sid's war against the cult of Diablos. Alpha, the OG of the group, the second in command, descendant of the hero Oliver. Second only to Shadow himself and the executor of Big Mommy energy. Beta, intelligence specialist, a jack of all trades, a lover of fairy tales, madly in love with Shadow and the mortal frenemy of Princess Alexia Midgar. Her alias is the highly popular Netsuke Kafka, which helps her create connections which she can use for Shadow Garden. Gamma, my personal favorite, weakest of the group, and so clumsy she can't walk down a flight of stairs without busting her ass.
どうぞこちらへ。
鼻血出てるよ。
She's the money behind Shadow Garden and the owner of the highly popular Mitsugoshi Company, which is the main source of income for Shadow Garden. Delta, Beastkin, the physical powerhouse of the group. In fact, she's actually the strongest physically of the Seven Shadows. Musclehead, but ruthless to her enemies. Acknowledges only the strong. In fact, she's the only one who's seen Sid's true personality and quotes him often. Epsilon, former noble, espionage specialist, prideful, but suffers from body dysmorphia. Master of the slime suit. Also is madly in love with Shadow. Love rival to Beta. Plus, she's an accomplished pianist, which she uses to generate connections in high society for Shadow Garden. Zeta, Beastkin, descendant of the hero Lily, exploration and espionage leader for Shadow Garden. Lone wolf and natural rival to Delta, the most talented of the Seven Shadows, and future villain arc incoming. And Ada, mad scientist, renowned architect and inventor, completely obsessed with Shadow both scientifically and romantically. You'll never find her on the battlefield. She suffers from insomnia, but can sleep like Majin Buu when she finally does go to sleep. These 7 people built Shadow Garden into an international organization that has its hands in everything from commercial enterprises to literature and other pursuits. Also, this must be said, Shadow Garden's drip is impeccable. Sid's idea to use a slime as clothes was ingenious, even though it leads to hilarious situations if their magic is ever obstructed in some way.
何かあったかしら。何かあったかしら。いえ。
But this anime is more than just Shadow Garden. I absolutely hated Princess Alexia when she first appeared, but she grew on me over time, and she is a perfect example of a tsundere done right, even though she did have that one yandere moment.
後にこの事件は死体のない殺人事件として学園七不思議の一つになるのだった。
Even though her relationship with Sid began because he lost the bet, the fact that she was able to turn it around on him and threaten his background character life was quite impressive. I love their verbal sparring matches, and I can appreciate her outlook on life because, like her, I don't trust people who are too perfect. Although she started her interactions with Sid by looking down on him, basically because of how easily he was swayed by money, even though Sid was using her to fund his lifestyle as Shadow, over time, she actually grew to like Sid, especially since she can be herself around him, even though in the end, Sid ended their relationship. Over the course of the first season, she is the character, in my opinion, who underwent the most character evolution. From getting over her insecurities with her sister, to reigniting her passion for the sword, and learning about and accepting what is happening behind the scenes of the world she lives in. She still has a lot to learn, but I'm excited to see where her character will grow from here. She also started to subconsciously connect Shadow and Sid together, and she may be the first person outside of Shadow Garden to put 2 and 2 together. I am fascinated by Sid's sister Claire. She is a major brocon due to her almost dying when she was younger, but Sid saved her life without her knowing. She is fiercely protective of him to the point she's either willing to mutilate herself or massacre entire families when it comes to him. She has perfectly fallen for Sid's background character acting. Their interactions in the show are so weird sometimes, especially since Sid just avoids her all the time when all she wants to do is spend time with him. She knows there's more to him than meets the eye, especially since she learns from him with every fight or sparring session they have together. I actually want her to be the first character outside of Shadow Garden to figure out Shadow's identity. I wish Sid would just tell her about Shadow Garden and bring her into the organization because they would be amazing together. Also, she would totally accept Sid for who he is, just like the Seven Shadows do. Plus, I would enjoy her verbally sparring with Beta and Epsilon over Sid. I also think she would get along with Gamma and especially Alpha for some reason. As much as I like her sister Alexia, Iris can suck a big fat one for all I care. For how capable she actually is, she makes some unforgivable mistakes. Let's start with her Crimson Order. What a spectacular shit show that was. Losing the strongest and most notable member of her order at the first situation. Obviously, she could not have anticipated the terrorist attack on the academy, but she doesn't have the skills to lead the organization in the first place. Remember how she just wanted to charge into the academy knowing that there was no magic and the enemy had guns? The show put her on this pedestal because of her skills, yet she doesn't use them effectively. She lets her insecurities overtake her. Alexia learns from her mistakes. She sees the bigger picture. Iris is too stubborn to. She's the heir to the throne of Midgar, for God's sakes. No wonder she can't get along with her father, because she can't see that her father's actions are another way to achieve peace, the exact same goal she has. Then there's her pride. After getting her ass royally handed to her by Shadow all across the city in the last episode, does she even try to learn from what happened? No, she doubles down, and now we have a future villain incoming because of her idiocy. Also, if it was me, I wouldn't have left the artifact with Sherry any longer than needed. I actually would have kept that artifact in an environment that I would have complete control over. Then if Sherry needed anything, I would just have the Crimson Order go get it, leaving the academy out of harm's way. That thing would have never left my sight. I've heard people compare her to Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that is entirely insulting to Azula. Okay, Azula would have understood the situation. She would not have fought Shadow head on, no matter how cocky she was. She would have found a way to deal with the situations in front of her. At least she would have tried something smarter than just, oh, I don't know, let me pull a sword out and try to fight whatever it is in front of me. Iris is just dumb, which is dumb because I know she's been given a royal education, maybe the best education in all of Midgar. God, I just get so mad every time I think about her because she should be better than this. Beatrix, on the other hand, intrigues me. Just on her intuition alone, she is basically able to see through Sid's facade. I mean, she isn't called the goddess of war for no reason. Even though she has limited screen time, she definitely left her mark. Plus, I'm intrigued by her search for her niece, who I presume is Alpha. She was able to hold her own somewhat with Shadow, and even got him to try a little. Also, she took her loss to Shadow as a learning experience, showcasing her years of experience. I feel like she got a major training arc coming, and I'm excited to see her in the future. Sherry was kinda mid, but I feel like she was great comic relief and highly intelligent. However, now that she's on her Yandere villain arc, I'm here for it. I hope it doesn't end tragically for her. She suffered enough. Finally, Princess Oriana. She's been through it, huh? From almost being killed during the terrorist attack, to learning the truth about Sanctuary, killing her father and being hunted like a dog, to ultimately joining Shadow Garden. The fact that she took her battle with Sid during the school tournament as a declaration of love for her is hilarious. She has feelings for him as well. I mean, come on. Sid's Riz is all-encompassing. Her future is no less turbulent since I've caught up with the manga. I'm curious to see how it will translate to the anime. Shout out to Nu as well. And while she did have some really cool moments, I want to see more of her next season. The last thing I wanted to mention is all the small things the show does to set itself apart from the rest. I loved it when the show would show all the setup between the different situations on the show. For example, after Sanctuary was destroyed and Lindworm basically became Venice, you saw camps being set up on top of buildings, or when Alexia was kidnapped, we saw the Night Order set up an HQ as they continued their search for her. These moments would make the world feel more real and alive. Most anime don't even include them. Also, it was weird, but I kind of like it that I watched Sid actually eat something to completion, like when he eats the burger or the ice cream cone. I really love that.
You know the funniest thing though? It's the little differences.
The one thing I didn't appreciate at the time was the anime soundtrack. Even though I do feel like 61 songs is a bit much for me, I really loved Sid's theme in particular. It definitely has that epic feeling to it, especially since I just picture Shadow's I Am Atomic charging up. Adding the choir vocals to it was a very nice touch. Basically, if you're fighting Shadow and this song starts playing, just go ahead and hold that L. There's nothing you can do. In the end, if someone asked me if The Eminence and Shadow is a good show, I would first ask them if they've watched an anime before. I think most seasoned anime watchers will absolutely love this show, especially if you love isekais. However, I think it might be tough for someone who's trying to get into an anime or who is new to the space to get into it. Just like how One Punch Man was a remedy for the classic shonen formula, and ironically what followed One Punch Man was a generation of main characters who broke the mold of the stereotypical shonen MCs we fans have become accustomed to. The Eminence and Shadow can have that same effect on the isekai genre, which can be carried by what I classify as the holy trinity of isekais: Overlord, ReZero, and the time I got reincarnated as a slime. In 2020, Mushoku joined this illustrious group and made it a Mount Rushmore. Plus, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Konosuba, but I don't know the monument that has like 5 things on it. Plus, there's the saga of Tanya the Evil, among other notable great additions to the genre. We need less in Another World with my smartphones, and other shows of its formulaic ilk, and more shows like The Eminence and Shadow. I love isekais not for its power fantasies, but for its versatility. The genre gives authors the abilities to do anything and everything their creativity allows. That's why I'm always willing to give an isekai a chance. I watch Bofuri because it's very good, fun, and most of all creative. At the heart of the show, it's just a girl playing an MMO with her friends. It's basically a fun SAO. Another example of a new isekai that is premiering this year is Saving 80,000 Gold in Another World for My Retirement, where a girl jumps between 2 worlds as she collects money to retire early and some hijinks ensue. Or By the Grace of Gods, which is about a kid who runs a laundry service in a new world. Sure, it's very Saturday morning cartoonish, but it's also a fun show that always puts a smile on my face. Also, I don't want to watch every isekai where like the world's in danger. I just want to chill sometimes. The Eminence and Shadow is a show that has no right. It walks a very delicate balance that I can't believe Daisuke Aizawa managed to pull off. Each episode is a delightful watch with its fantastic MC, a great cast of supporting characters, a soundtrack that is amazing, and more than enough cringe that it's actually a good thing. A second season was announced back in February, right after its first episode aired, so we got more greatness on the way, and it may be here sooner than you think. You can watch the show exclusively on High Dive, so go ahead, get your free trial, and enjoy. Okay, wow. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I try to be more concise in this video in particular, especially since I started noticing how much unnecessary fluff I put in my videos. Writing the script for this video was very tricky because I didn't know exactly where to start. Also, everyone and their mother talked about this anime, so I had to find a way to be unique. You guys get it. I'm about 50 chapters into the My Hero manga and I needed a break. I'm not really enjoying the manga, and I think it's because I'm not really reading the manga. So I'm going to start over and read the manga again just to read it instead of trying to make a video while reading it. Maybe this manga won't be such a dry read for me. Bakugo still sucks, by the way, but I only made it 50 chapters in. So I'm not really being fair here. Don't forget, this video is part of a double feature with my movie review of sorts on the Dynasty Warriors movie on Netflix. I don't know what came over me, but it just seemed like a really fun video to make at the time on a movie a lot of people didn't watch on a niche video game series that I love. On second thought, maybe that video was a little too niche. but I'm always willing to put new people onto the Dynasty Warriors series. It's better than just playing an updated roster every year. Let me stop. This video's recommendation is another underrated isekai that came out around the same time as Mushoku Tensei back in 2021, and I feel like it just didn't get its rightful recognition. Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, aka Journey in an Alternate World Guided by the Moon, is a Japanese fantasy light novel series written by Kei Azumi and illustrated by Mitsuaki Matsumoto. It began its run back in 2013, with the series getting a manga adaptation in 2015. However, it received its anime adaptation in 2021. As a result of a previous deal between his parents and a goddess of another world, Misumi Makoto was transported to the goddess's world to be its hero in humanity's battle against the demons. Now, the backstory of how this deal took place is a straight up hentai plot. Like, it's so dumb and extreme enough that I'm still not ready to talk about it. However, things go wrong immediately when Misumi meets the goddess, and where upon seeing him, the goddess rejects him and exiles him to the wasteland. Why does she reject him? It's because she thinks he's ugly. Yep, that's it. He's ugly. I mean, he's very basic, but we've all seen uglier MCs than him. I mean, look at this guy. Now he has to survive in this new world, but all is not lost for him, as another god, Tsukuyomi, comes up clutch and blesses him with power. Misumi is given the freedom to live his life as he pleases, and of course, plenty of hijinks ensue. What I love most about this anime is its world building. The series is basically a mix of the time I was reincarnated as a slime and Overlord, even though I wish the anime added more Overlord. The only reason the world of Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy is in the state that it's in, where the demons and humans are at war, is because of the goddess herself. You can already guess by how she treated Misumi here. The goddess is very vain and egotistical. The demons don't like her because she didn't do anything while the humans oppressed them for generations to near extinction. So of course the demons would fight back. The show is also tremendously fun, with an opening that is catchy as hell. Plus, I know you guys will love Mio and Tomoe, who are basically calmer versions of Shion from the time I was reincarnated as a slime, except Mio is a huge glutton, plus she's a spider, and Tomoe is a samurai fanatic who's also a dragon. Can't forget the homie Shiki and the homegirl Emma as well. One last thing. I really enjoyed that Misumi is an archer instead of a swordsman or a mage like 99% of the other MCs. He's really good, by the way. He nukes a whole army with his abilities. I just want you guys to remember now, Misumi is not the only person the goddess brought from Earth to serve as the hero. So if you're looking for a new isekai to watch with a surprising amount of world building and action that makes it stand out from the rest, plus some fun and interesting characters that definitely leave you wanting more, then Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy may be up your alley. Thank you all for watching.